Okay, everybody, Supercars has called a special press conference here at the Repco Bathurst 1000. Obviously, everyone's disappointed that the Armour All Shootout didn't go ahead. So the three gentlemen that we have here today, we've got Supercars CEO Shane Howard. To his left, from Motorsport Australia, our race director is James Taylor. And then we've also got Adrian Burgess, Supercars Head of Motorsport. Now, I'm going to start with some questions, then we'll open it up to the press. Then after that, we'll bring in our three top drivers who'll be starting from the front three spots for the great race tomorrow. I'll start with the man in the middle. Shane, obviously very disappointed. We heard what you had to say on air with Rihanna. Can you just highlight the people involved in the decision-making process here?
Yeah, sure. Obviously, extraordinary conditions. The amount of water that was dumped on the circuit at that time, there was a lot of channeling, a lot of water course being channeled down onto the racetrack itself. We looked at it. We tried to give it as much time as we could to see if it would dissipate, and obviously what we get out onto the circuit, see what we could do to perhaps assist that with, channeling some water away from the circuit. So we tried a number of different things there, but the amount of water and the volume, etc., that was spilling down the driveways, mainly on the mountain straight, which was really causing that big those big water courses that you could see on the exit of Turn 1 were significant. Obviously, we had Motorsport Australia and their officials there to assess that. We had Craig Baird as our drivers standards observer assessing it, and they deemed that it was unsafe to proceed. So obviously very disappointed that's occurred, because we all want to go racing. We all wanted to see that top 10 shootout happen, but at the end of the day, you can't compromise safety, and we'll have 28 cars on the grid for tomorrow.
All right, thank you, Shane. I'll go over to James next as race director and the man who sits in the hot seat in a scenario like this. And how tough was this decision for you, knowing that it essentially rested on you?
Fairly tough, but best efforts were made to get it going, and we were quite proactively trying to reschedule it. But Mother Nature's just beat us on this one. What people don't understand is the water feeds in from the paddocks, and we were getting quelled. We thought we were going to achieve it until the second front came through, and that just basically damaged the works we're putting in place to correct it. We can't beat Mother Nature, and we're just going to make sure the venue is perfectly safe and everyone involved is going to be well protected and enjoy tomorrow's best efforts, I think.
And Adrian is the man who sits between Supercars and the teams at times as well. What was some of the feedback you were getting from the teams?
I was trying to keep the teams updated as to what we were doing. Everyone was supportive of whatever decision we had to make at the time. I think they were just sat there ready to go. I know the drivers are ready to go, and we wanted to put the session on as those guys wanted to compete in it. But at the end of the day, as the guys to my left mentioned, safety's got to be the paramount concern.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll take some questions from the press. We have a microphone here.
Hi guys, Lockie Mansell from Checkered Flag Media. Was there any possibility, or did you investigate the possibility of postponing the shootout till tomorrow morning?
Obviously we look at all the options that are open to us, but very difficult to be able to redirect that top 10 shootout and the time taken to do that. It's a time issue for tomorrow. Obviously the cars run a different setup in a shootout than race, so we don't have the ability to really manage that in the time available tomorrow.
Yeah, for either the Supercars representatives on the desk, there were reports of puddles and standing water when there's heavy rain at Challenge Bathurst here last year. Do you think the drainage at the circuit is actually up to scratch, or would you like to see Bathurst Regional Council look at that?
Look, I think it's very challenging in an environment like this, just the topography of the circuit. And when you have a weather event like that, with that amount of rain being dropped in a short period of time, with ground that's already water soaked, it's very hard to manage. The council are always very proactive in helping us with those situations, but it is a temporary street circuit. Driveways and things have to be maintained for the residents, and you've got some quite elevated ground that actually runs down to the circuit. So when you get that sort of volume and it's channeled down there, it's very hard to manage. So I don't think that a lot could be done to, improve that under those conditions.
Shane, knowing what the forecast was today, did you have any thoughts of maybe looking at the day and then trying to go whilst there was a drier patch in that earlier part of the day?
Yeah, we obviously look at everything that we've got available to us. Once you're in motion with broadcast and your schedules, it is very hard to change on the hop. So that's a difficult thing to do. So with weather, you don't know, and this place has its own sort of environment. And as we saw, we thought we were going to be getting a lot more rain yesterday and this morning, and we didn't get it. But it certainly coincided with the shootout time. So, that was unfortunate.
And for you and James, do you have any concerns that more rain overnight could affect us into tomorrow?
Look, obviously, I think the forecast for tomorrow is improving. We and the council will be doing some work overnight, just making sure those drains are relieved from any debris, etc., that's been washed down into them. We'll look at trying to cut some, temporary drains just to help it dissipate off the circuit where, if the grass is elevated above the asphalt there, just the things that are available for them to do. And then we'll obviously have to manage it on the day.
Guys, thank you for your time. Thanks for answering those questions and making yourself available. First time we've ever had the Armour All shootout cancelled at Mount Panorama, so that's unfortunate. Bittersweet, Cam. What's the emotion right now?
Yeah, I feel like I've done half the job. So, yesterday was great being quickest in the wet, and that's obviously cool. But you've still got the shootout to come. But yes, respect the decision that they've made. The shootout for me is probably one of the highlights of the year. I love, getting into it and then putting it all on the line for a lap. I find that pretty exciting and love it. But, obviously the water that was on the track was crazy. And for me, it's not really about, the safety as much. The drivers do drive to the conditions, but it's more about the cars. And in the shootout, you put it all on the line. It's our egos driving it a lot of the time. And, if we end up in the fence and tear the car up and then not be able to race tomorrow, that's probably the bigger issue for me. So, we've got 28 cars starting the race tomorrow. And, tomorrow's probably the bigger thing that we all want to win.
All right, well done. You're on the pole, mate, and no one can take that away from you. So congratulations. Lee, we talked yesterday about one last time at a Bathurst shootout, and that's really disappointing. So I'm sorry you missed out on that one, mate, today.
Yeah, it's a little bit of an empty feeling for me. I really wanted to have a crack at my last top 10 shootout and didn't get to do it. But as Cam said, they made the right call. The track was ridiculously bad with the water, the rivers, and, it was looking like it was probably possible to run it at the start. But then, as Shane said before, that next front started rolling in and it was back to being undrivable. So, yeah, our cars would probably be, aquaplaning in third gear and we probably wouldn't have reached full throttle for the whole lap. So it wouldn't have been that entertaining for people to watch anyway. But, still a little bit empty, but very happy to be starting off the front row.
All right, congratulations, mate. Front row start is very cool. Chaz, mentally, how do you sort of prepare yourself to be, okay, we're going to do it, maybe not? Did you do your normal run-up to a session for that one, or did you know pretty early that you weren't going out there?
I put my suit on pretty late, so I did have it on though, so I was ready to go. I think to add to these guys' comments, the water on the track was probably worrying, but the biggest thing in for a top 10 shootout is you just got no car temp, and these cars are quite sketchy in those conditions. So if it was just another qualifying, if it was like another 20-minute qualifying or something like that, and all 10 cars are on track together, we'd have the time to build up to it and find where those safety things is. But I thought the supercars did the right decision because for us 10 drivers to go out there on a warm-up lap with a cold car and then ask us to go and try and do something special in those conditions to try and beat each other, I think we would have found probably half the 10 to be in trouble, and the other 5 probably would have been a bit more sensible, and I probably would have been one of the 5s that wasn't sensible. So, yeah, I'm happy with the call. I think that the biggest thing just to add is listening to guys from Supercars. I think they're being proactive. I mean, it's a good idea to have a look out there now where that water's coming from and see if we can try and make those things better for tomorrow, because we want to be trying to do as much green racing as we can.
I'd love your thoughts, Chaz, on the fans who stayed here through the autograph sessions in the rain. They sat in the stands hoping for a top 10 shootout, and they'll go home disappointed today. But just your thoughts on the Hardy Supercars fans at Bathurst.
Our fans of our sport are the best in the country. You know, it's the dedication they show here all week long into the weekend, cheering their favourite drivers on to their teams, sharing plenty of bevies with their camp next door neighbours in their campsites in those conditions. We are very lucky to have the fans that we have in this sport. So look, I don't know if I'm talking on everyone's Supercars behalf, but we're sorry we didn't be able to do the top 10 today. It hurts us on the inside too, but we want to make sure, like Supercars said, we want all the cars, all your teams, all the drivers on the grid tomorrow, putting on the actual race, because I'm pretty sure even though people remember the top 10 throughout the weekend, I'm pretty sure they remember who wins the race more than who ended up putting it on pole.
Absolutely. Last one from me. Lee, I'll throw this to you as the senior member of the panel here. Understandably, there's a few...
They're catching up.
yeah. There are 1 or 2 fans who are saying, you know, you guys are professional race car drivers. Why can't you drive to the conditions? Can you shed some light on why it's not that easy to just go out there and drive around in a supercar in that level of water?
Yeah, I think Chaz nailed it. Before, our cars take a while for these tyres to build in temperature, and that's the main thing. And when you've got 1 lap to do it on an out lap, and you're trying to find where there's some grip or just trying to survive for that out lap, it's very hard to build temperature in the tyre. And even yesterday in better conditions, you know, we were qualifying. It was taking, 3-4 laps before you were putting down your best lap, and that first lap was very, very sketchy. And to do that, you know, we're not going to hold back on a shootout lap to have an absolute go, and it's going to be unpredictable. There would have been cars 100% in the fence. So it was the right call. Like Chaz said, we're sorry we couldn't do it. Gutted that we couldn't have a crack, but it would have been literally undrivable at speed.
Thanks, mate. Okay, we'll throw the boys some questions.
Afternoon, gents. Stadium from Wide Water Sports here. Cam, question for you. You mentioned you felt it was almost empty, the fact that you were sitting here and not driving. Do you really feel like you've claimed pole for the Bathurst 1000, having gone 44 years of the top 10 shootout and now sitting here without it? How do you feel sitting here right now?
I'm sure I'll feel okay when I'm starting from P1 tomorrow morning. So, right now it's a little bit weird because I didn't have to earn it like we usually would, but I still did the lap yesterday. So, doesn't really bother me, mate. We're just thinking about tomorrow's race. That's one we want to win.
I know that you'll drive whatever they give you when you come in for your pit stop, but are you worried if it's a prolonged rain, you won't have enough rain tyres and you might be going out double and triple stinting?
I think if it's wet enough, we wouldn't want to change our tyres. Once you get the temper in these tyres, you want to keep them on. So I don't think that will be an issue. By the look of the forecast, I think we're going to get mixed conditions tomorrow anyway, so I think we've got enough wets. Certainly got enough dries.
Final call. Going once. Best of luck for tomorrow, boys.
Thanks.